Okay, delighted to be joined by Adrian O'Sullivan, the new Dublin Senior Camogie manager. Looking ahead to the Littlewoods National League campaign, which gets underway next month. Adrian, thanks a million for joining us today.
No problem. You're more than welcome to my sitting room, Derek.
It's been a strange first few months for you, Adrian. You've been in charge since, I think it was January you were appointed, but you're only really getting to meet the girls properly in the flesh this week, I guess, with training resuming this week.
Yeah, so look, we're recording this on a Tuesday evening. We're back training tomorrow in DIT. So, yeah, it's been a very strange first couple of months. I suppose probably there's weeks on end there where I'd have to remind myself that I'm the manager of the Dublin Camogie team, because there's been nothing happening really, and the coaches have been working away in the background. But yeah, it's been hectic now the last couple of weeks. Just once we finally got that date to return. Just getting everything in place, and yeah, I'm certainly well aware I'm the manager now. Anyway, I had to get a COVID haircut there to cut away the few greys that have started to come out now with the workload the last couple of weeks. But yeah, the whole lot of us are just really excited to get out in the field tomorrow night and put the longest of winters and springs behind us.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very tough start for you. How have you even got to know the girls, or have you been able to get to know the girls at all? Because I believe you've kind of nearly banned Zoom calls and Zoom quizzes and all these kind of things. But yeah. Have you been getting to know the girls over the past few weeks, even obviously virtually rather than at training?
Yeah, yeah, you're dead right. Look, we avoided Zoom calls at all costs, I suppose. We were just wary of mentally draining the girls. No, don't get me wrong, they had a hectic training schedule, athletic development plan that Donny and Rachel would have put in place for them. But I suppose we thought it was very early in the year when there was so much uncertainty to kind of have the need for them to be on a Zoom call on a Wednesday night or on a Zoom call of a Sunday morning. We wanted to give them some bit of freedom in their lives before we went full on back into the training. So that's what we did. We had a few Zoom calls. We had a couple of calls with a nutritionist and a few different niche bits around tactics and game plans and stuff like that. But yeah, no, look, really, I haven't had much relationship built up with them at all. When I initially came into the job, I rang everybody that we wanted in. So I suppose we had that initial point of contact, and I think a phone call is always a nice way to start that relationship, I suppose. Some of them were mad to chat, to be on the phone for 20 minutes, and others were just, yeah, thanks very much, you'll see you in 3 months' time, whatever it is. But so yeah, very much the relationship building process starting tomorrow night, I suppose, getting to know players, getting to know what they're about, what makes them tick, what kind of people they are, I suppose, what kind of characters they are around the group. So very much looking forward to it. It's definitely the most exciting part of the job, is when you first meet the group out in the field for the first time and get to really start to know them, know what they're about,
Yeah, and it's a pretty quick start for you then as well, Adrian, because you're getting to know the girls, this week, and laying out your plans in terms of a game plan or training plans over the next few weeks, and you're straight into the league, which gets underway next month. So there's not much time to bed in, really, on the pitch, on the training pitch.
No, I suppose in an ideal world, you'd like more than 24 days before you face down Brian Dowling and his All-Ireland champions down in Kilkenny. But look, do you know what? At this stage now, Derek, if you'd have told us we'd only a week to prepare for it, we'd take it, because we're just no more so than the rest of the whole population. This is what we do. We're inter-county players, inter-county managers, and we're just mad to get back at it. So, look, it is a very tough start, but we're taking the positive out of it. No better start to focus the minds. These are the games you want. These are the games you get involved in sport for. We're going to go down to Nolan Park and take on the All-Ireland champions in their first game since they won the All-Ireland. And sure, look, we'll know straight away. We'll have a fair idea who's up for the fight after that, because it's a tough start, but it should really focus the minds. And as a group, just talking to a few of the girls since the draw was made, they're really looking forward to it. So yeah, tough start, but possibly also the best start we could possibly ask for as well.
You've spoken before about the Dublin job being the biggest job in Camogie, and you obviously see a lot of potential in this panel and in terms of the girls and what they can do, and growing the panel and improving things with this team over the next few weeks and months.
Yeah, definitely. I know a few people kind of raised their eyebrows a little bit when I said that, but look, Dublin are second on the roll of honour, 26 titles, and okay, it's been a while since they won anything, but they have a rich heritage there, and I suppose they're only a generation away from that. It'd be a lot of their mothers, aunts, grandmothers maybe at a stretch would have been involved in these All-Ireland winning teams, and I suppose we just want to tap into that and kind of give the giant a poke and wake it up a little bit again, but look, as I've mentioned before, there's 4 senior adult teams in Dublin, and 2 of them are the All-Ireland champions, and you've Matty Kinney over the third team, trying to make huge strides as well. So look, there's great inspiration and hope in that. And look, if Mick Bohan and Desi Farrell can do it, what's to stop us doing it? You know, we're in the same jersey. So yeah, we're definitely going to tap into the winning culture that's in Dublin and that we're surrounded by with the other senior teams and really try to drive it on.
You have Donny Fox alongside you as well as a coach with the Dublin Senior Camogie team, a man who obviously knows the Dublin club scene very well. He's won the senior title with St. Jude's a couple of times over the past few years. He'll be a huge help to you in terms of identifying players for the panel over the next few weeks and months, and even obviously going forward as well.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose Donny's role is specifically as the coach. He's not actually a selector, but of course he knows the players backwards. You know, so I think his knowledge of the club scene would be massive, or his knowledge of the panel would be massive when, I suppose, designing game plans and structures and things like that for the team, because he'll know the players so well from both managing with and against them over the last number of years. Obviously, we have Sarah O'Donovan on board there as well, who knows the club scene and the county scene in Dublin backwards as well, and her knowledge of the players would be massive as well. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Myself and Donny get to work together. If it wasn't for COVID, we could have been on a collision course as a coach in Thomastown down in Kilkenny, and we were due to meet Judes in the Leinster final if they got over their semi-finals. So it's funny how life works out sometimes, that we've ended up on the same sideline instead of opposite sidelines. But from what I've seen of Donny so far and what I know of his record and everything, he's a super coach, and he's a real good guy, and really looking forward to working with him. Yeah.
That's gas that you would have actually been clashing otherwise if it hadn't been for what's happened over the past few months.
And no doubt we would have had a row as well.
On the sideline.
No two ways about it.
Yeah. You mentioned the league campaign already. The start, you're going to have a nice easy start against Kilkenny, the All-Ireland champions, of course. You mentioned there as well how it's the best start possible, and maybe it does really give you a barometer of how good the panel is and where you might need to look and improve at in terms of looking at the players being up against the best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something we always try to do in UL with the Ashbourne team, is we always looked for challenge matches against the likes of Galway and Tipperary and try and get players out of their comfort zone. And my attitude always is, regardless of results or anything like that, if players can step up against the very best in challenge games or in league games, well then you're fairly sure you're going to be able to trust them in the white heat of championship. So yeah, look, we've a tough league group. There's 2 going through out of 3. I suppose Kilkenny will be everybody's favourites to get out of the group, and understandably so, as the All-Ireland champions. And then you've ourselves and Offaly, who I suppose were the only 2 senior teams that didn't win a game last year. So there's probably only going to be a toss of a coin between us on paper. They have a new manager as well. They're in a very, very similar situation to ourselves. Albeit Susan has the advantage of being the interim manager for a couple of games last year, so she probably has a bit of a head start on us. But yeah, look, it's very interesting now, and it'll all happen very quickly now over the next couple of weeks.
Obviously, the aim is going to be to win the games. But aside from that, or outside of that, what are you going to be looking for in the 2 games in the league? Hopefully, obviously, progressing beyond that. But in the 2 games in the league, in terms of, will you be hoping to try and impose a game plan and try and impose a structure on the team? Like in terms of the long-term benefits of these 2 games, I'm sure you'll be looking at trying to impose things in those games that you will be able to see later on in the year when it comes to championship as well.
No, of course, Derek. I mean, obviously it's very difficult, and I'm glad I'm the manager, not the coach, because it's a huge coaching task to get any sort of a game plan in place in 3.5 weeks. But I suppose we've been appointed for 3 years, and our reign or our time in charge isn't going to be judged in 1 week in May either. So we're not going to overly panic. Of course, we're going out to win all the games in the league and try and get a good run and get the year off to a good start. But look, as you said, we're looking at the bigger picture here. It's about finding a game plan that suits the group. It's about finding players that have the right stuff to drive it forward. So yeah, that process will start on the 16th of May down in Kilkenny. But if we win by 10 points or lose by 10 points, it's not going to define our season. We won't get too carried away either way. It's we're looking at the bigger picture.
And I guess we've already seen with St. Vincent's obviously winning the Leinster title a couple of years ago. You mentioned already the potential that's in this panel, and that's one of the reasons why you've taken on the job. I guess it's kind of an exciting time for Dublin Camogie, an exciting time to be involved in Dublin Camogie as well, with the, like I said, the success from St. Vincent's over a couple of years ago, getting through Leinster, a kind of real sign of the potential that's in this panel going forward.
Absolutely, I suppose the things that you look for when you're taking on a job is what's the club scene like, and like you said there, Vincent's had a super win in Leinster there last year. We're very competitive in the All-Ireland series. Jude's looked like they were going to come through and have a right crack off Leinster. Ballyboden have been thereabouts in Leinster over the last number of years as well. So that's a huge thing. I mean, it's a sign of the strength in the club scene. And look, you're looking to see, are they competing at underage? When they're consistently competing there. John O'Connell's minors are always really well organised and competitive in the minor championship most years as well. So look, there's talent coming through, and there's a strong club scene. And you don't have to go back too far back to David Herty's time, I suppose, when Dublin were regularly getting to semi-finals and quarter-finals. So we still have a good chunk of those players. So really exciting time, I suppose, to blend the experience that's there with the youth that's coming through and see where this project can take us over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, and finally, I guess what we've seen over the past 4 months or over the past year, 13 months now at this stage, obviously with the COVID restrictions, has been and over the last 4 months in particular, no GAA action because of the restrictions that were in place. I guess it makes you appreciate going back in. People kind of complain maybe about training and well, at least the weather's good at the moment, but maybe later on in the year they might be complaining about the weather. But certainly I think at the moment anyone, like I say, is nearly desperate to get out and start training and playing camogie, hurling, football, whatever it might be again. So I'm guessing the last 4 months has made you appreciate that a little bit more.
Oh, definitely. Look, I suppose we're complainers by nature, aren't we? So I'm sure it'll be grand for the first 2 or 3 sessions. It'll be all glass half full before I start giving out again. But no, definitely. Look, I suppose it's that old cliche. It's a cliche for a reason. You don't appreciate what you have until it's taken away. And look, I've been around the county circuit in hurling, and there's many a night there leaving Mullingar at 10 o'clock at night, or leaving Hawkfield and Kildare at 10 o'clock at night, and a long journey home on the motorway, and you're kind of looking out the window going, what in the name of Jesus am I doing here? But I think when it's taken away from you for any length of time at all, the opportunity to get back stuck in again at an elite level, I literally can't wait to get out in the field tomorrow night now and just meet the players, meet the coaches, meet everyone, I suppose. It'll be a very strange situation that you're shaking hands and introducing yourselves to people, but also realising you're 3.5 weeks away from facing down your Ireland champions. So I suppose there mightn't be too much time for pleasantries, but I just know I get the feeling off the group that everybody's just really excited to get at it. And like you say, we'll appreciate it all the more now for what we haven't been able to do over the last couple of months, definitely.